What's up, degenerates? As always, as promised, we're true to our word here at 𝐬𝐵𝐴R Sports. We are joined again by Nigel Seeley to preview the weekend's action. But before we go into that, let's just have a quick look back, Nigel, at some of the games gone by. What stood out for you? Was there any favourite moments or anything like that?
I think it was a good game. First of all, morning to you, Paddy. How are you, mate? Look, great success on the Royal Ascot tips. I've been following and absolutely brilliant success on 𝐬𝐵𝐴R Sports on that. Shame the football guy hasn't been doing the same. But let's go on about the weekend. But Denmark the Denmark game I thought was a brilliant game. Denmark-Belgium. I thought Belgium made some substitutions. Kevin De Bruyne and Hazard come on. And suddenly they showed why they're one of the favourites to win it. They were absolutely brilliant in the first half against Denmark. They were dreadful. We were a bit unlucky. We had the draw in that game, and it was 1-1 and 2-1 with a late second half goal. We were very fortunate with the over 2.5 in the Portugal game. They were 0-0 with the 81st minute. And there was 3 goals in the last 10 minutes with Ronaldo getting 2, which cashed on the over 2.5 goals. We also got the over 2.5 goals in the Ukraine-North Macedonia game. I thought that was another very entertaining match. And what we're seeing now in the Euros, Paddy, is when teams have got to win to stay in the competition, we're seeing much more entertaining matches because they're fighting for their lives. And the first matches are quite cagey. Now the second matches come around, they're a bit more adventurous. And when the third games come around, where teams are already out and other sides have got nothing to play for, then we really do see the goals. So the rule of thumb always is to go under the goals in the first set. The second match is sort of watching brief, and the third match we go overs and we get the real lot of the money. But yeah, it's been a the football's been getting better and better. But that was just the starter with the main course tonight over here. England playing the old enemy Scotland at Wembley. Yeah,
so really interesting. So let's just kick off Friday. And before we come to the main game, we have Sweden versus Slovakia, Croatia versus Czech, and as mentioned, the big one for this side of the world tonight. So let's just touch it off. Sweden, I think, around even money mark, 20-23 at the minute, 7-2 for Slovakia. Croatia 5-4, Czech Republic. That's an interesting enough game for me. What are you thinking tonight? Any bets standing out from, the first 2 games?
Yeah, I'll go through the first ones. I mean, there's been Sweden plays Slovakia, and the market is very supportive of Slovakia. Sweden are pretty friendless in the market. Nobody wants to touch them. I'm quite surprised by that. I mean, they drew 0-0 with Spain. They didn't really offer anything in an attacking threat, but they went there to get a 0-0, and that's exactly what they got. They have to go out and attack here. They have to be a bit more adventurous. And I think Slovakia are one of the worst teams in it. I know they won the first game against Poland, but really, they for me, their form coming in is poor. They're the lowest ranked side in the tournament, and their performances coming into the tournament aren't that great. And I think if you get anywhere near even money Sweden, and it looks as though it's getting bigger and bigger. I think there's a big Far Eastern move on the Asian syndicates on Slovakia in the draw. They want to oppose Sweden. They want to get Slovakia plus a half a goal, which means they win on the draw as well. But I think if Sweden hit evens, I think it's too big. I really do. Just because they had 15% possession against Spain, don't worry about that. They went there to do a job, and that's exactly what they did. And now in a game, they've got to be a bit more open against the Slovakia side, who I think are really poor. I think Sweden represent a bit of value at even money. Croatia, Czech Republic, I think this is really, really, really hard to call. I think Croatia didn't play well against England, but they're better than that. England didn't allow them to play. Czech Republic, I thought, were very lucky to come away with a 2-0 win against Scotland. I mean, Scotland should have scored, deserved something from the game. And, the player scored 2 goals, one a great header, the other one a complete worldie from the halfway line. So you can't legislate for things like that. But I think this will be cagey. Czech Republic need a point. If they get a point, they're going to probably qualify. And Croatia can't lose. So I think this could be a cagey affair. And I think the best bet on this one is to bet the draw at half-time again. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times. The draws in half-times in these games have been coming in quite a lot. And I think the draw at half-time in this match is probably the best angle at odds against. I think you can get 11-10 on that. I think that's a decent price to draw at half-time. And then we're going to England game.
A big game where the Scots, I tell you one thing, there might be 9-1 in the bookies, but they're doing a lot of shouting. I think what about Scotland to score first? Could it happen? No.
I don't think Scotland scored, Paddy. I mean, they couldn't score against the Czech Republic. They had all that possession. Yeah. They had all those chances. They couldn't score. And their centre forward is plays for QPR, my team in the Championship. You know, they're up against the Premier League best players here. Scotland will come in. It's a bigger game for Scotland than it is for England. That's without a shadow of a doubt. You know, for Scottish, anybody coming to England, whether it's the Scottish, the Irish, the Welsh, they always want to beat the English. For the English, it's not important to them. Not as important. It's an important game, but I don't think it's as important for an Englishman as it is for a Scotsman. And they will have that. And I think the players will play with that intensity and that commitment for the first 15, 20 minutes, a lot more than what the English have. But class will always sell, and I think the English team are just a different level above Scotland. I'm not saying that because I'm English. I'm not saying that for any other reason, other purely from a football and a betting point of view. I mean, England are 1-3 to win this game. You know, people. The only thing is, England may look at this match to think, well, they may not want to win the group. I know this sounds crazy, but England have got a much easier route if they become runners-up in this group rather than winning the group. If they win the group, they play Germany, Portugal, or France, and they've got a very tough route, then possibly Spain in the quarterfinals. If they don't win the group, then the tournament opens up for them. But on the flip side of that, they'll play their games at Wembley rather than travelling. So it's a difficult one. And I think that if it was a one-off match, just the last 16 game, I think England at 3-1 would win easy. But because it's a group match, I'm not so sure whether England will really go through the motions. I do think England will edge it. I think they've got too much quality from set pieces. They've got too much quality in every position. They're better. Arguably, the two wing backs, Tierney and Robertson, will get into the England squad. But every other position, England are just head and shoulders above it. And what England will do if they play that midfield two of Declan Rice and Kalvin Phillips, it means that no one can break them down. And I don't think Scotland could break down a Czech Republic side who England beat 5-0, I think, or 5-1 in qualification. I think England will probably win it 1 or 2-0. And I think once they'll probably score late on, and once they do get the goal, I think they'll win. And I think if you are going to, I mean, I know the degenerates want to make money, but I don't think many degenerates want to make money by betting England to win football matches. But if they did want to make some money, I think the best angle to have in this game would be England to win to 0. So England win 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. As long as Scotland don't score, you can get even money for that. And I think England will probably win it 1 or 2-0. And you know, they're just a better side and a bit more quality. But for the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes, Scotland will throw everything at them. And it'll be nervy if you take the 3-1. But I think eventually England will just show their class and nick the game 1-0. England to win to 0 evens.
Is there any price on a Scotland player sent off, an England player carried off, and 1-0 England?
I know if you went into a betting shop and you asked all them, they'll tell you something. They'll tell you, Paddy, something off.
Right, let's then move on. Let's leave it there. Look, a really exciting game. Personally, I'm rooting for Scotland. They are the underdogs. Of course, England look the classiest side and should get the job done. Let's move on to a tough game for Hungary as they play France. And on the same day, another interesting game for me, Portugal v Germany, and then the evening game, Spain versus not so good Poland, but let's see if Poland can maybe step up a bit.
Yeah, we'll start off with the Hungary-France game. I mean, Hungary was the first stadium, the only stadium in the tournament, in this competition so far, to allow capacity fans in. And Marcus Rashford, the England player, does his bit for the kids. Marcus Rashford is doing stuff over here for helping everyone with the charities. He found out there were 65,000 Hungary fans, and he went over there and packed lunches for them. So that was quite nice of him there. But I think the French here, will show their class, Paddy. I think the French will really do a number on Hungary. I fancy France strongly. France didn't even get out of first gear and won 1-0 against Germany. Germany had so many shots, so many possessions, but I think the French will just really do a number. And the reason why they will is Hungary have got to attack. They lost their first game 3-0, and they've got to get something from this game. So with their throwing players forward on the counter attack, Mbappe, Griezmann, Benzema, they should just turn this Hungary side completely around. Now, again, they're not very, they're 1-3 price, similar price to England to win the game. Again, that's not going to pay your bills. You want to look for something a little bit different. And I think if you can back France minus 1.5 goal on the Asian handicap, you get even money. So as long as France win by 2 or more goals, I think they could win. I think
realistically, Looks a good bet, realistically, yeah.
Yeah, and the other bet is over 2.5 goals. Over 2.5 goals in this game is evens as well. France can cover that on their own, because the nature of the game means that Hungary have got to attack. Hungary defence in the last 10 minutes was about as much use as a chocolate fire guard against Portugal, and I think the French will absolutely turn them over and do a number on them. Portugal Germany, I think this is a really, really tough game. Two very, very evenly matched sides in terms of the betting, and I think this will be close. Germany they created so many chances against France, but they didn't look like scoring, and they've got a big problem in their attack. Müller, I mean, he's older than me, the centre forward Müller. He's been around for years, and Timo Werner, who comes on, just doesn't look confident. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this being a low-scoring game. I think it could potentially be a draw. A draw would be a good result for Portugal, because that will see them qualified, and Germany would get a point, and it means if they beat Hungary, then they'll qualify as well. So in their final game, and they will beat Hungary. So I think it could potentially be a draw, and also like under 2.5 goals. So if you're looking at that, maybe a 0-0 or 1-1, but I think that'll be close. And Spain against Poland. I mean, Spain have got problems. I mean, I tipped them up as one of the teams I thought would do well, but they had 85% possession against the Swedes and didn't really do anything with it. They created a couple of chances. Their centre forward Morata was booed off by the Spanish fans in Seville, which is not a good sign, in the first game of the European Championship. And they're playing a Poland side who really should just call him Lewandowski, because other than him, they've got nothing. If he's on the ball, and I think he's the best centre forward in the world. Probably within this tournament, I think Haaland probably will be equally as good as him now. But I think he's the best centre forward in the world, and he's capable of scoring. But it's going to be hot in Seville, not as hot as it has been. It's 24 degrees, 26 degrees at kickoff time. And I think with the heat, I think that makes games go low on goals. So I think under 2.5 goals here could be the call as well. Just one thing about the fact as well, Munich on Saturday at 6 o'clock is going to be the hottest day of the year in Germany. It's 33 degrees. And I think that really does play into the hands of under goals as well in the Portugal-Germany game. So a couple of unders. I think Hungary, France will see all the goals, and then the other two will be playing the best supporting act for the day.
Definitely right. Well, then let's leave it there and let's move on to Sunday's games. Just two games: Italy versus Wales and Switzerland versus Turkey. So Italy obviously have been looking classy enough. Wales getting the win the last day, and then Switzerland. I suppose let's stick with that for a minute. Any angle on this? Where are you standing?
Well, I think the thing is with these games is that you can't really have a huge opinion until you see the team news, because once the team was qualified, then you can guarantee they're going to rest all their players and put out all the reserves.
Yeah.
So I think the team news is going to be crucial in this game. I mean, if Italy play with Locatelli, Insigne, Immobile, they'd be too strong for Wales. But if they rest those three players, then Wales have got a chance. And I think it comes down to tactically who wants to win the group and who doesn't want to win the group in terms of the route they take. But going to Rome is going to be very hard for Wales. But they've proven over the years in European championships, that they got to the semi-finals in the last one, that they like the underdog tag. I honestly think this is very hard, Paddy. I really do, because I think now you could say, yeah, Italy will probably win it. But if they do rest players, then Wales have got a chance. So I think team news is crucial for this match, and one that I probably wouldn't have a bet until I saw it. But at the odds, just bearing in mind there's nothing to play for each side, and just in the fact that both sides are both going to be in the knockout stages, they've both got one eye on the last 16 already. It's going to be a non-event. I think 100 to 30, the draws a big price.
Yeah, or even a game, as you said, sidestep until you're happy with the lineups, and then make your decision. That would be my advice. Wait to see your starting 11 and then go for it. Move on. So let's move to Switzerland. So then Switzerland, then favourites. I think they're 4-6 here on what I have, but versus Turkey. What are you thinking? Can the Turks cause any threat?
Well, I mean, if you said to me at the start of the tournament, how would you bet this game? This game at the start of the tournament, you would have Turkey marginal favourites at the start of the tournament. From what we've seen so far, Turkey are 4-1 to win this game. Yeah, and that is a huge, massive difference from where we were. Switzerland obviously needs something from it. They need to get the win to progress. So that's why they're 8-11. But from the teams, from the qualifying form, Turkey just looked massive at 4-1. We talk about games that could be fiery, and we talk about games where it could have implode here. The Turks could quite easily lose their heads in this game. I mean, they against the Welsh. There wasn't a bad challenge in the game really. And in the last, 𝐸LMA's, the centre forward, went in with a challenge with one of the Welsh defenders, and there was 4 bookings in the last 2 minutes of the game. It all kicked off, and I think the Turks could really. I think they'll be right pumped up to get something from this game. If it doesn't like their world, they just go kicking. So I think Turkey to get a player sent off or sending off in this game could be an angle.
Yeah, right. There you go. There's our red card bet we've been looking for, lads. The Turks to get one sent home. Right, let's move on to then what is a busy day in Monday. So we have Ukraine versus Austria, North Macedonia versus the Netherlands, Russia v Denmark, and Finland v Belgium. What is the story here, Nigel? I know it's far out. I know there's, it's give us what you're thinking.
Well, I'll give you a couple of. There's 2 big angles in this game, Paddy. 2 big angles. The first one is that the Netherlands have qualified, North Macedonia haven't qualified, or eliminated. North Macedonia probably the weakest side defensively in the tournament. They conceded 3 in their first game against Austria, and then they conceded 2 against Ukraine, and probably should have conceded a lot more against Ukraine. And North Macedonia, Pandev, their best player, is 38, and to play 3 games in a short period of time is a lot for him at his age. And I think Holland they're 1-3 to win the game. I think they will win the game. I think they'll put out a decent side. But I think anyone in the Dutch side looking at this game will see it as a possibility to make a case to being the top goal scorer in the tournament. And their main striker is 𝗵𝐵his 𝗲𝗍. He scored a penalty.
Yeah.
𝗵𝐵his 𝗲𝗍 he's just signed for Barcelona. If he plays, then he will see this as an opportunity to get a couple of goals to stake a claim to be the top goal scorer. He's 7-2 to score the first goal in this game, and you can get him at like a decent price. I just checked the price you get to score 2 or more, or to even get a hat trick. And I think this could be. I think the Netherlands could win this easy. 𝗵𝐵his 𝗲𝗍 is 33-1 to get a hat trick with Sky Bet. Now I tell you what, if he starts in this game, you wouldn't mind having a bit of that 33-1, because these games are the ones that usually get the top goal scorer. The games when they have nothing to play for, some kid scores a hat trick and he's the top goal scorer. Many years ago, Russia played in a World Cup, and a guy called 𝐸𝐵𝐿𝐶 scored 5 goals in one game in a dead rubber like this, and he was the top goal scorer. West Ham bought him for about 45 million about a week later. Couldn't get 2 left feet. Be useless.
No pressure, you see.
No pressure, but
no pressure.
That's it. Yeah, but 33-1 𝗲𝗍 to score a hat trick isn't a bad bet if he starts. But we've got to see the team news, and we've got to see if he starts, because Macedonia, they'll be packing their bags. If they want to get out, they want to get back to North. I don't know why anyone would want to go back to North Macedonia, but these 2 boys, they do want to go back to North Macedonia.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting bet. So 𝗵𝐵his 𝗲𝗍 33-1. He had a good time in the Premier League as well. Right, let's. And you know what is the best for yourself, Nigel? So let's round off all.
Well, just one. You've just missed one game there, Paddy. Just one great. The final game. This is the most.
Is it Russia Finland v Belgium? Sorry.
No. It's not that. It's the game. It's the game on Monday. It's the Ukraine against Austria.
Oh, Austria. Yeah, the 5 o'clock game. Yes. Yeah,
this is very, very interesting, because basically both teams, if they get a draw, both teams will qualify. So if this game ends in a draw, both. But now already the bookies aren't silly. Even money the draw this game. You can get 11-10 the draw. Now Austria have been involved in games before, famously against Germany in the 1980 World Cup, I think, or 82 World Cup, I think it was, where they got a draw and both teams got 4. Austrians don't mind a deal, and the Ukraine, another country that want to get into the knockout stage in these European Championships. And even at 11-10, it's very hard not to see this game being a draw. I know if you walk into the betting shop or you're online, you're pressing a button back in a draw at 11-10, you're feeling that, oh, what am I doing? But when you look at this game and you look at the way it is, a draw will get them both through to the knockout stages, and neither side has ever been into the knockout stages of the European Championship. So I think this will end in a draw, a very convenient draw.
Yeah, very interesting. So, look, I know it's shortening up, as you say, the bookies are onto it and they're shortening up, but still, it is probably the most likely. Anyway, let's just touch. So, before we wrap it up, will England show their class or will the Scots show their heart? Right, Nigel, give us your best 3 bets of this round as the tournament now, as you reckon, loosens up a bit.
Okay, we're going to go with today, and I'm going to go. I think if Sweden can hit even money come kick-off time, they're a brilliant bet. But the odds against, I wouldn't touch them just yet. But I think if the drift continues, we back Sweden. But I'm going to go for England to win to 0, even money, 1-0, 2-0 England.
All my Scottish followers won't be happy with that.
Well, I'm sorry. I apologise. I apologise. I'll have a gram on you for you tonight.
Right, yeah.
And on Saturday, I'm going to go for the best bet. I think French will easily beat Hungary, but my best bet will be under 2.5 goals in Portugal, Germany. It's 32 degrees.
Under, right.
Very hot.
Okay.
A draw suits both sides, under 2.5 goals. Sunday, I think it's a difficult one without the teams, but let's go for it all to kick off at Switzerland, Turkey. Go for a few red cards, a few yellow cards, maybe a sending off in that one. And on Monday, I'm going to go for, let's just go for a big one. We'll throw a big one. We're in it to win it. Let's go for 𝐵emphis Depay at 33-1 to score a hat-trick. If he starts. If he doesn't start, we'll go for Ukraine, Austria to be a draw.
Yeah, and hopefully, even if he gets a little run out, we might do any time then as well. We'll see. We can throw in some, but to get the hat-trick would be nice. 33-1, and definitely capable. That is the key. Look, as the fella says, if you're not in it, you can't win it. Anyway, as always, Nigel, I appreciate you coming on to help 𝐶𝐲𝐵 Sports out here with this, all your football analysis, and we really enjoyed some of the bets. We've had some near misses and some success. Let's hope for another good run this time. Cheers, amigo.
Thanks, mate. Have a great weekend, Paddy. All the best, pal.
Cheers.